Namaste and welcome to Stardust Stereo. I'm Parker McPhinney. I'm your host. Today is the 26th of August, year 2026. And tomorrow, Thursday, the 27th of August, we are going to have a partial lunar eclipse, also known as a full moon. This will occur at almost 5 degrees of Pisces. The specific degree is 4 Pisces, 54 minutes arc. So we're 6 minutes away from it being 5 degrees. Yes, for those of you who are not good at math. However, minutes in astrology are different than minutes on the clock. So I'm rounding off this partial lunar eclipse to 5 degrees Pisces. Where it falls in your chart, whichever house, there's 12 of them, they all represent a different area. Previous podcasts have gone over this. I will at the end mention very briefly the houses, meaning that is the area, and the opposite house of that holds the sun, the axis, is where you can look for rumblings, changes, possible illumination. This partial lunar eclipse will begin on the West Coast in California at 6:24 p.m., but you will not be able to see the beginning of the eclipse here on the West Coast because the moon would have not risen yet. Moonrise, when it's seen on the West Coast, will be at 7:30 p.m. You'll already begin to see part of the darkening as the Earth's shadow falls on the moon. The actual eclipse begins at 7:33 p.m. Maximum is at 9:12 p.m. And you would look to the east-southeast sky. The eclipse will end at 10:52 p.m. and completely be out of the shadow. The shadow will clear just after midnight. That is all Pacific daylight times. If you live on the East Coast, you'll add 3 hours to it. So starting at 9:24 p.m., you will be able to see this eclipse as it begins. The actual eclipse will be seen at 10:33 p.m. and the maximum time of the eclipse, the full amount that will be seen in this eclipse, is at midnight, just after midnight, 12:12 a.m. That's when the moon is 96 degrees covered. And then it's over, but by the time it's over, you will probably be in bed. Okay, so if you live elsewhere, you will have to do the math. I want to talk about the psychological meanings, the symbolic meanings, and how to utilize this eclipse. When this eclipse might be triggered for you, meaning when potential that the eclipse shows in your chart has more likelihood of activation. Very rarely do major events happen on the day of the eclipse. However, I will say that an eclipse in Pisces brings out the psychological people that are prone to imbalance. What I mean, and I need to clarify so that people don't think I am an insensitive person. I actually am a psychic myself. I believe everybody is. I think everybody's born this way, but society tells them to shut down that third eye, which also is your gut feeling. But we're all psychic to some degree. The more you use any muscle, the more profound it becomes. So this eclipse happening in the sign of Pisces indicates that those that are sensitive, that have spent time while they're here on Earth listening to their inner eye, their unseen eye. I mean, I use an example. You would never get in the car and shut your eyes and then drive. Never. But we often hear people that put down the third eye, the inner eye, the knowing, the psychic energy, and yet it's all the same as getting in the car and deciding to shut your eyes and drive. So why would you go through life not using all the tools that divine gives you? Because we know this place is not always easy. This eclipse will open up that third eye for you. You're probably already feeling the rumblings of the eclipse energy because it is also a full moon. It is an event that brings closure, that brings things to a conclusion, that ironically full moons shed light, but this full moon has the shadow of the earth. So maybe the light's not seen just right now, immediately. Inner world, you may have sensations and a feeling, but the outer reality might not reflect what you inside have hunches on. There's a duality involved with this lunar eclipse because it's in Pisces. That's, you know, the icon of the two fish swimming in opposite directions. It's in a water sign. Pisces is a water sign. This full moon partial eclipse speaks to me as all about healing the water wars. Because I tend to take a positive attitude on things in life. Because I don't see taking the negative attitude as being fruitful. The eclipse will stir the pot. You will feel an urge to make changes, sometimes wanting to make them instantly. People do all sorts of things under eclipses, both solar and lunar. They've probably been thinking about them for quite a while, and then the eclipse comes around, and man, they want to go into action. However, I would suggest that you wait until the dust settles. So at least 3 days, if you can, after the eclipse, before you make major changes. Now, sometimes eclipses can trigger world events and events in nature that we have absolutely no control over, and we have to act instantly. When those things happen, and with the eclipse in the sign of Pisces water, I'm thinking floods. I'm thinking mudslides. I'm also thinking public health and how water is tied, clean water is tied to our having good health. If our crops that we buy in the store are fed dirty water, then those crops become contaminated and we eat them and the bacteria goes in our body and then we fight it off. And if we have a really good immune system, you know, we may feel lousy for a week or something. But if we have an immune system that's compromised, it can cause major problems. And we have seen this already in the news with our food supplies in America. Some of those food supplies are coming from other countries that do not have the same regulations that we do. So this eclipse has already shown itself in the food problem that we are having in the United States of America and in other countries. Sometimes that food problem is because of a drought. They don't have water that you need to grow crops. So what can we do? What can we do? What can I do? What can you do? Because it's the little steps and choices we make in our individual life that then, when they become a collective, can help bring about change on a larger scale. And Pisces is all about larger scales. It's about big animals. It's about the big ocean, big waters, big bodies of water. And the little choices we can make are making sure we drink good, clean water, giving donations to establishments that we feel are trustworthy, and that the monies mostly will go to giving clean, filtered water to those in need. It's also about having compassion, not having the thought that, well, I've got mine, so you figure it out, but rather helping our neighbor. And interesting with this particular degree, the 5th degree of Pisces, in the Sabian symbols, which I'm not going to go into the astrobabble of where the Sabian symbols come from, I'm just going to give you the meaning of the 5th degree. The 5th degree of Pisces is a church bazaar, and it's about cooperation, and cooperation amongst many people to benefit others. It's about identifying with your value system and acting on that value system. Your relationships in life will always show self-reflection of how you feel about yourself. So when you partner with somebody, whatever lesson you're needing to learn, however y'all are helping each other grow spiritually, that will reflect back to you, and it will reflect back to them, and it also reflects back to the community about where you are at in your progress, or maybe that's not a good word I want to use, in your evolution of your spiritual journey. And even if you're not conscious of being on a spiritual journey, I believe it's not important that you have the same belief as me, but I believe, because I'm doing the podcast from that belief, that even when you're unconscious about your spiritual journey is still happening. This is a time to pay attention to your dreams and symbolic images and people that come in your dreams. I keep a dream journal, and I find it very useful, and I encourage you to do so, because often dreams will leave you within 2 minutes of awakening. And if you have a little book or something special by your bedside, you can jot down little notes and later make reference to them. I've often found problems that I could not figure out in waking time are solved in my dream time. It's like an aha happens. This eclipse, because it is in Pisces, will have rulership over your feet, toes, fungus. It has rulership over the unseen world, your lymphatic system. As I was doing the workup, I thought about sepsis and how that happens to the body when bacteria gets in the bloodstream and the nodes in the body, the lymphatic nodes, and what a horrible problem that can have for so many people. That is why right now it is important that you eat well, that you sleep well, that you try to keep arguments, jealousy, envy, things that are of a negative nature way far away. Don't feed them with your mind. Don't go there. Go rather to a place of thinking of positive, of how you would like things to turn out. Then your subconscious will automatically go into that mode and begin to work to figure it out. Be aware of who you hang out with, because if you are in tune with the Piscean energy, or you yourself are a Pisces or have a very strong Piscean signature in your chart, such as having a lot of planets in the 12th house, having many planets in relationship with Neptune, or having planets in Pisces, you are always susceptible to absorbing the vibration of others. And you can walk into a room and read the room and feel what's going on. So listen to that and make sure you keep good company. This would be a time to get rid of toxic friends. Yes, there is no need to stay in touch and in communication with somebody that you know is not healthy for you. This particular eclipse is square Uranus, and that means unexpected change can be thrust upon you. What you thought was something for sure, done deal, absolutely happening, can have a monkey wrench thrown in it, and there's a little subclause that you hadn't seen that you have to ponder on. It gives a certain restlessness. It's also a time when you have to be very careful about what you commit to until that at least 3-day period moves past. What you had thought was a sure deal may not end up being quite as you anticipated, and sometimes that can be a great thing. Like it can turn a corner and you're like, wow, I didn't see that, and I love that. The Sun and Mercury have just passed a conjunction, so the mind will be extremely restless, busy, and full of data. Great ideas can come. It's especially an interesting time for the medical field. New awareness can come out. And speaking of that, I just read the headlines right when I was starting to record. I saw it popped up on my screen, kind of involuntarily popped up on my screen. And I see that Tim Curry has crossed, and oh, I was so sad. And then earlier Dolly Parton left, and it just like, ooh, all these icons that I grew up with are deciding to go to Astro Plane 9. And this is something that we often see when it's just a simple full moon. And this will be especially true because the moon is in Pisces, and that deals with the film industry, that deals with the music industry, that deals with the industries, the arts that are tied to imagination and fantasy and transporting you to your happy place. And we are seeing iconic people from these worlds leave. And it does make me sad, but we all have a time when we will be departing Earth and going on to another plane. And acceptance is a sign of maturity. This eclipse will mirror the welfare of Earth. It mirrors mankind, how mankind is treating Mother Earth. we know we're not treating her very well right now. When you go through neighborhoods that have a front yard that just looks like Armageddon, you know that the people that that live in those houses don't have good self-esteem, don't have the means probably to even feed themselves properly or with good food, to even give their mind the mindset to clean up the front yard. The same is true of our earth. We need to pay attention to how beautiful we are keeping Mother Earth. We might see more oil spills. I think it's amazing that I have to even say this, but it's true. We will probably have to deal with oil spills with this particular eclipse, probably, if not in the near future, within the next 6 months. It's a jumpy and unusual eclipse. It's a very complicated eclipse because it has a certain level of duality within it, like a strange fish, like a dual-headed fish that has been washed upon the shore because toxic energy has seeped into our oceans. It is also like a electric energy that has no grounding. The moon is square by Uranus, but at the same time, it also can indicate magnetic water that heals. I think it's a good time to get involved with music that you can tap your feet to take a dancing class that allows your spirit to move about and release frustration. It is an excellent time to get a good pair of shoes, if you don't already have one, that supports your ankles and gives you the ability to feel grounded. Piscean energy and Neptune in general dissolves things that no longer have a purpose in our life. Let them go graciously. The last time there was an eclipse at 5 degrees Pisces was August 28th, 2007. Every eclipse is different, but you can see a familiar theme in the house that eclipse fell. Watch your plumbing, your body's plumbing, and the house you dwell in's plumbing. Don't let details get lost. Face mold issues if you have them. The body will be super sensitive to drugs for everybody, prescription drugs, etc. Some drugs may not actually do what they claim. We will find out during this period. Studies will come out. You will need more sleep. Now I want to give you some dates of past triggers that may be linked to this particular eclipse. And what that means is a previous time, specifically in July of 2026, the first week of July, what was going on for you? Anything specific? For some people, it might be nothing. But that is a pre-eclipse trigger point. And then March of 2026 was also a pre-eclipse trigger point, the second week of March specifically. The future trigger point is December 2026, the first 2 weeks, and then still the latter part of December, right before Christmas, will be very active. Those periods, March this year, July this year, December this year, will be trigger dates of when your potential of wherever the eclipse falls in your house in your chart, what house, what axis, that things come up for you again. It can be some problem gets solved, a piece of the puzzle that you didn't have suddenly arrives, you have the idea to how to finish your novel, somebody you met ends up resurfacing and playing a huge role in your life. You make a decision to either unify with somebody, something that you've been pondering if you should do, or breaking it off. The other times that will be very much tied to this eclipse are January of 2027 starting the 10th, and then also in February, and in May, mid-May, until the first week in June of 2027. So I've given you a lot of dates, which I'm going to say again. And what this means is, in the sky, Mars will be activating this eclipse. It will come full circle. It's like you're serving the pizza, and you start to serve the pizza, and you, oh wait, I don't have the salad yet. And then the salad shows up, and there's the salad. Oh, but wait, where's the drinks? What is everybody drinking? Oh my goodness, I forgot silverware. Oh, and we need napkins. That's what I mean. The event is going on, and little bits and pieces come at various moments to make the table full. And you can suddenly be looking at the table and going, oh my God, I didn't put down a tablecloth. We need a tablecloth. You know, this is how eclipse triggers can unfold. Suddenly the doorbell rings, and somebody you were talking to last March is there, but they're a guest with somebody that's your best friend, and you didn't even know they knew each other. That's what I'm talking about. So the dates are, to be aware, past dates are March of this year, July of this year, future dates, December of this year. Then as we go into the new year, after January 10th, there will be a couple of weeks in which ahas happen. Then into February. And then finally, May of 2027, a resolve begins to happen. We have extra dates because in 2027, Mars will be going retrograde on the degree of the eclipse. This eclipse that happens tomorrow is going to be in effect for over 6 months. We have a series of eclipses happening after the first of the year, which will make it even more convoluted. This is not an easy digest A equals B eclipse. This is an eclipse that's all over the map, but there is a thread, and certainly in global issues, it indicates that completion of disagreements and who owns what water and where the water rights are and blah, 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 will probably not come to a very clear understanding until after the second week of June in 2027. They start to get resolved, and then, well, wait, there's something else. First house, this deals with your physical body and your view in the world. If it falls in your second house, it deals with money and how you spend it and what your values are and who you owe what to. Third house, brothers, sisters, contracts, the neighborhood, and your philosophy in life. Fourth house, your physical home, the seat of the soul, your mom, and also how you stand in the world, how the world views you. Fifth house, your children, your hopes, wishes, dreams, how you have fun. And does that fun involve groups? Sixth house, your health, your everyday life, pets, and How do you sleep at night and take care of yourself? How's that tied to your health? 7th house, your partner. How your partner and the public interact with you or don't interact with you. And how does your self-esteem feel when you're not getting on with your partner? 8th house, the transactional house, the transcendence house. How do I go to those invisible levels to make my inner world more alive? And as the inner world becomes alive, what happens to my outer world? 9th house. This is the house of the clergy, universities, where you have discussions with friends, foreign travel. When you go and travel off to a third world or a modern civilization that you've never been to, it affects how you view your little community when you come back home. 10th house, the father. What your ambitions are in the world, and how does going for those ambitions affect your home? 11th house, the friends you hang out with, the new friends you meet, and how you learn new ways to have fun with other people. 12th house, the inner cave, the psyche, the subconscious. If you have a good night's sleep, it affects your day the next morning in a favorable way. The houses are not separate from the axis of the houses. The 1st house affects the 7th house. So try to think in a holistic perspective when you look in your chart where 5 Pisces falls. The main thing that I want to say is it's a phenomenon that happens. We're looking at our shadow. We're illuminating inside how we can further excel on our spiritual path and have more compassion for our fellow human beings and ignite our imagination in an inventive way that can help everybody. I'm Parker McPhinney. This is Stardust Stereo. I'd like to thank you for listening. I'd like to thank my patrons. You know who you are. If you would like to become a patron, you can do so at patreon.com/ParkerMcP. And I want to remind you, you are made of stardust. So go shine.